Directed by Ashley Hayes Wright. We are talking Hillock Haunting. Now, Hayes Wright actually has a role in the movie, as does the rest of her family. It appears this is a family affair with the husband who has written the movie, and also the main character, and their daughters all play roles in the film. So it's a family low-budget horror movie. It's also a faith-based movie. So there you go. Well, what is the story? Well, we have this single dad effectively inherit a farm after his father died of a heart attack, but it's a little bit of a suspicious heart attack. So he moves into this farm with his two daughters, and they seem to be menaced by some type of supernatural entity. There is a kind of a farmhand, this goth girl that seems to maybe know something about what is going on, but she's kind of playing her cards close to her chest. And the paranormal phenomena starts to grow in intensity. What will happen? You will have to watch the movie and find out. So, what works in this movie's favour? Now, this is kind of as I say, a family-made movie, and really it's trying to appeal to a family audience, I would say. There's no swearing, there's no gore, there's no kind of like real scenes of horror. It may be a little spooky for young kids perhaps, but it really is a kind of family movie, entry-level kind of horror film. So, you know, youngsters may like this, but it is not exactly a thriller-minute movie, I will say, and there's not a lot of visual stuff going on, so maybe they won't want it. But there is that if you want the content, which is not going to be offensive to anyone. Now, this being a movie which is really the people behind and in front of the camera are all genuinely a family, I will say I actually kind of quite like the fact that we have this single dad who seems to kind of be very dad-like to his daughters, and the way they interact with him, I actually thought did seem like a genuine family dynamic to a certain degree. Like, they're scared, so they kind of like, can we sleep in your room tonight, things like that, which I thought, you know, this is what families are really like in some ways. Now, you know, we'll come on to the acting, but you know, I just thought the setup, at least, and the way he has a very kind of calm temperament towards his daughters, I thought was quite fun. There is an attempt here to have a little bit of a mystery about what's kind of going on, so I appreciate the fact that this movie is trying to build up a little suspense about what the kind of the status quo is, and what the kind of the build up to all this paranormal activity has actually kind of been, by giving you this sort of backstory and things like that. And if you are a person of faith, then, you know, it's a very positive message for you guys towards the end of the movie, so there's that as well. But let's transition to what does not work. Now, before we go into that, let's just remind ourselves that this is a very, very low budget movie, and from what I understand, although this family have made a lot of movies, they have no actual background, professional kind of training or anything like that. Just made a lot of kind of amateur films. So we'll bear that in mind, but let's talk about what doesn't work. The thing I would say would strike, there's two things that I think would strike most people. Number one, and I hate to say this because there's a lot of young people involved, but the acting is not very good, which is surprising considering this is a real family playing a fake family. You would have thought the interactions would have seemed quite genuine, but they don't. The line reading here is incredibly kind of stiff and wooden, and it doesn't feel like these people can really act. And when you're acting as a daughter, you know, with your real father playing your on-screen father, that would have to be the easiest transition you could possibly make as an actor. So it's a little startling, really, that the acting is unfortunately so subdued. You know, they're not overacting, I would say, but it's very subdued acting. There's never much in the way of kind of like, you know, emoting and cadence in their kind of the tone of their voice and things like that. It's just kind of flat and monotone for a lot of the time, which makes it feel very wooden, like they're just reading the lines and things like this. So yeah, the acting is not strong with the characters, and it's, like I say, it's of note that they're actually acting against their real family members, where you should think that the confidence would be quite high. The story really, because it's somewhat neutered by this being a family movie, doesn't really have any bite in regards to horror elements. There's there's a little bit of on-screen VFX, but there's not a lot. And what we do have is, again, it's a very, very low budget movie. So, you know, with that in mind, you still can't help but think it's not particularly kind of impressive. I think this story, there's a little bit of of an interest in regards to this mystery, but I think there's not enough going on in the story to really kind of capture it, even if you can put up with the kind of the subpar acting and the kind of the meager VFX and horror elements in the film. So it's a little bit of a slow burn, too much so in actual fact, which makes the movie become dull overall. And then we obviously, if you are not a person of faith, you know, the movie at its climax really leans into that, which is odd because it doesn't really do that until the end of the last act, but then it really totally does. So overall, it's a very a movie that I would not recommend for the most people, to be honest. Maybe if you're a person of faith and you have younger children who don't mind low budget movies, then that's your kind of very small audience. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. If you have seen it, please do let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.